Welcome to Ode to Games. My name's Logan Plant, joined today by Zach Rost, who recently ranked his top 10 favorite movies. Hi, Zach.
Oh yeah, I didn't know this was a movie podcast, but yeah,
It's
that was my
not.
Do you
big
remember
project for
last
a
week
couple
we
days
talked
ago.
about Scoob for
We
It's
did.
10
true.
minutes?
Scoob didn't make the top
Well,
10,
then we're not talking about
unfortunately.
it. That's the only
Yeah,
movie we
so
talk about here.
it's an irrelevant topic.
We got a couple of movies to talk about
We
this
do.
week. Also joined by Kevin Valine. Hi, Kev.
We got a lot of news, and unfortunately, we just missed a couple from last week. Some poor
Yeah.
timing on our part again.
Yeah, right after we recorded some big stories. Really big, especially in the context of what we like to talk about on this
Yes.
podcast. Yeah, so a lot of stuff. Let's get right into it. Haunted Chocolatier, Concerned Apes' new game, that is, of course, the creator of Stardew Valley, was shown off, got its first trailer, and it looks pretty cool. You make chocolate instead of
Yeah.
farming. This is about chocolate. Looked a little bit more combat based, maybe, than Stardew Valley is. And also some interesting statements from Concerned Ape basically saying how within Stardew Valley he felt kind of confined by the genre since it was an established genre by games like Harvest Moon. But now they're just going to go off and do whatever the heck they want in this game. So, Kevin, the biggest Stardew fan here, what did you think of what you saw?
It looks really good. And like I've been talking about, whenever news comes out about this new game, I am very glad that it's something new because I don't think he could have won up Stardew Valley in terms of like a farming game. I
Yeah.
think that has everything you would ever need for it. So it's really cool to see some of the ideas carry over with what looks like more fleshed out combat, with the item gathering and crafting systems, the same graphical art style with the pixel art and other mechanics, like talking to villagers and living in this town and getting to know people. And it looks like gifting and possibly marriage is a thing too. So it carries over what it needs to from Stardew Valley, and yet looks like it tries to set out and do something completely new as well.
Mhm.
It looks like it's a ways off from what he said. It's like this is a vertical slice of the game. It may look like it's really far along, but it's not, as evident by in development rather than any sort of window or time frame or anything. But yeah, it looks really good. Really like the music a lot. I like the idea of running the chocolate factory, and I'm curious to see how it expands because just from this little trailer you see like the initial small building and you see them like dropping some tables down as some customization for the shop, and then it shows another shot later of a bigger shop with more area to put things down and a lot of customers coming through and buying things. So I'm sure that that's going to be an integral part of the game, but I'm very curious how the progression system is going to work for this game because with Stardew Valley you had so many different avenues of where you want to go. Within your farm you could upgrade things with crops, or if you wanted to go animals you've got coops and barns and all these different things. And from what we've seen here, it's the chocolate factory. So I'm very curious how he's going to take a progression system that was quite varied in Stardew Valley and the way that you could attack things and try and implement something here where it's not just one little thing that you're upgrading, but you have a number of different things. But of course, we didn't see a whole lot since it's the first trailer. Another interesting thing, no multiplayer planned. So Stardew Valley, a big thing with that was that even before it came out, Concerned Ape was saying like I would like multiplayer to be in this game, but since he was a lone developer, he wasn't able to get it out at launch, and a couple of years later multiplayer came along. But in his FAQ on the website for Haunted Chocolatier, he says no multiplayer is in the works and there isn't really any plans for multiplayer. So it looks like this is going to be a single player only affair, which may disappoint some people who jumped into Stardew Valley when it was multiplayer. Um, but maybe the systems and things that he wanted to do with this game wouldn't work as well in the context of a multiplayer setting. But from what I've seen, it looks really cool. I'm excited to see more about it, excited to see more about how the crafting system works and all the different chocolate you can make and how you can upgrade the store. It looks really good, and I'm very excited for it whenever it comes out because it could be several years off. He has said that it's just going to be him working on this game too.
Yeah, it does look really neat. I think that the concept of running a shop is one that's really interesting to me. That Moonlighter game, remember that it had some stuff
Yeah,
similar to that, but I
yeah,
never really enjoyed that game from what I played of it. But I I really like Stardew Valley, even though I've never gotten super into it. So something like this, I think I think it looks great. You know it's going to be good because it is so similar to Stardew Valley, even though it also does look very different. I think it's cool to see that this game is kind of in the same vein, but Concerned Ape's going and doing his own thing with this kind of management farming, but not farming. I don't really know what to call this genre of game when it's not a farming
He called
game,
it an RPG simulation game. So
That's pretty broad.
yeah.
But I think it looks really neat. I like that it's not completely different from what we know from Stardew, but it does look like it has its own unique identity. And yeah, it's gonna be a long wait, but did we know that this announcement was coming this soon, Cav?
He posted on Twitter several hours before that something was going to drop, but it wasn't like we had known this far in advance. I believe it was like same day that he posted, like, keep an eye, something's coming today. But besides that, there really wasn't any indication before then that something was going to drop.
Yeah, Zach, what's your take on this game?
I'm glad that he's giving himself a lot more freedom to not be constrained by a specific genre. I mean, the guy's pretty innovative and is an extremely hard worker, so I'm sure it's going to be good. But the lack of multiplayer does concern me a little bit, because I did hop into Stardew when it was multiplayer, and I've never really given it like a single player go of it. So these kind of games, like his kind of games, always have a multiplayer feel in the back of my mind. So just wondering where it's gonna end up on my list of things that I'm gonna want to play. Although it does look good from the trailer that we saw.
Yeah, so it's something to watch out for. It was seriously the day after we recorded last week, I think, in between recording and uploading. It was really fast. But yeah, something that we'll definitely be following over the next few years for sure, as we learn more and it eventually comes out. That's Haunted Chocolatier, Concerned Ape's next game. Let's move on to the Uncharted movie, which we've already talked about, it feels like dozens of times on this podcast. We finally got our first trailer, which showed off a ton of this movie. Nathan Drake, Mark Wahlberg, Nate, and Sully. I'm really torn on this trailer, so I'll hear what you guys think first. Zach, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so I didn't know the direction they were planning on going with this movie, but it looks like they're taking it in have a loose basis of what Uncharted is, and they're just running with that. They're not sticking to any of the story constraints of the games. They've basically got Nate meeting Sully and going off on an adventure. That's basically it. So I'm a little, I don't know if it's a good thing that they're trying to do their own thing and that they're not to stick to what the games set forth as the pre-established story. I don't know. I'm still torn on the casting. Mark Wahlberg doesn't have a mustache. He needs a mustache.
Big problem, yeah. It's not Sully.
And then,
it's like Fred
other than that,
blonde hair,
I was pretty impressed with the set pieces. They look very Uncharted. It looks like an Uncharted movie. I didn't glean a lot of the plot. It seems pretty standard Uncharted with Antonio Banderas being the villain.
Yeah, all I can think of was Puss in Boots there.
But all Kevin can hear is Puss in Boots, and all I can see is Spy Kids. So,
oh my god,
I know he might be a weird choice, but I don't have crazy high hopes for this movie. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it nonetheless, just because I am such a fan of the Uncharted series, and whether or not this is like a laughingstock of a bad movie or actually better than we expected, like the Sonic movie, it's going to be a good time. So, yeah, it's about where I'm at right now.
I thought a lot of it felt like Uncharted from the trailer, except for Nate and Sully, man. I just don't buy these guys as Nate and Sully. I wasn't feeling it. I feel like they just cast too recognizable for these people, and I don't buy them. Tom Holland, I mean, it's kind of unfair. He's been typecasted as Peter Parker in Spider-Man, so he just perpetually looks 16 years old to me. So when he's opposite Chloe, who I always thought they were similar in age, I'm like, okay, Nate's 17 and Chloe's 30. How old are they supposed to be in this movie? I thought Chloe looked really cool. I thought the casting for her was really good, and she had some cool parts in the trailer. I didn't even know she was going to be in this movie until the trailer. But I didn't buy Wahlberg and Holland as Nate and Sully really at all. I was like, this feels like a weird copy of Uncharted with not the main characters to me.
When you had a slam dunk of a cast in Nathan Fillion, who looks just like him, and they made that the fan
Can't do Young
film,
Drake with Nathan Fillion anymore. They're
curious.
20 years too late on that one.
When the movie actually comes out, if that fan film will still be the best Uncharted film ever made.
I think it's so good. It is such a joy to watch.
And so light spoilers for the Uncharted games, because I feel like you kind of have to talk about it with this trailer. This movie is supposed to take place, I think, on the same timeline as the Uncharted
So
games. It's
me
a
and Zach were
younger.
talking about before. It was like we couldn't figure out if it was same
Yeah.
timeline or not. All we know is that technically
Ethan's
it's
a
set
bartender.
before the games in like age,
It's-
but if it's connected or
Yeah.
not, I don't know.
So if I'm supposed to believe that this is the Nathan Drake that goes on to star in Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're telling me that he's climbed back into a cargo plane on the nets of the crates twice? Because they do the exact same Uncharted 3 stunt in this movie. The ship, the pirate
The ship for- yeah,
that looks
Uncharted 4.
exactly like Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, a subplot of the movie is looking for Sam Drake,
yeah,
brother.
yeah.
which is just ridiculous. That's not something that
Yeah.
happens
Is
till
this
way
like
later
a
on.
greatest hits of the Uncharted franchise?
It's what it
in
feels
the
like.
one movie? Because that's what it
Seems
looks
like they're cherry picking a lot of moments that feel very Uncharted.
There's a
and kind of
ballroom
just-
scene that looks exactly like Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
Also, the
Yeah.
auction.
Mhm.
So I just don't know what this is.
Yeah, I'm
I-
not sure if it's connected or not story wise, but yeah,
I can't imagine that it is.
The plane scene specifically, like with the boat, like okay, that looks very similar to Uncharted 4, but you know that could be a little bit different. But I feel like there's only one time that you're hanging outside of a plane with a couple of different like cargo crates that are tied together, and you're climbing your way back up. That doesn't happen twice.
Yeah. But the boat looked exactly, it's framed exactly like the boat in Uncharted 4. Like, it's just too similar. And yeah, and they're like showing the boat when they mention Sam Drake, which is all Uncharted 4 stuff. I just don't know what this is supposed to be. I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm very excited to see it, just out of curiosity, but I'm not going in expecting to love it.
Zach, were
can't
you
believe it's
saying that
happening.
the bartending was incorrect?
Nathan's
Drake
never
was
been a bartender, as
bartender?
far as I know. He met Sully when they were kids, or when he was a kid, not when Sully was a kid. But
Yeah, that wouldn't work, but
Yeah, is that them meeting? Is that them meeting?
it's got to
Yeah,
be. I
they-
mean, that
they
was the way
meet.
that they
Yeah,
talk to
Nathan's a
each other.
bartender, and Sully walks up and meets him for the first time.
Okay, so it's not about the games at all then.
Can't be.
Yeah, it's
That-
got to
that
be.
guarantees that it is not
Different.
the same storyline as the games.
Yeah.
But yet they're kind of selling it a little bit as like his origin story, or like
He has the ring. I don't know where that came from.
I guess it's just
Yeah,
alternate
'cause-
universe stuff.
Yeah.
And then
He
if
got
the
the ring
movie
when he
does
met
well,
Sully
then
in
they
the
can just
games,
make
yeah.
more movies off of this universe and have it not be tied to the games if they want to do something with the games again. later
Throw
down the
Uncharted
line.
into the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
It's fine.
The
It's
Sony
just like I
Cinematic
don't
Universe.
want to see live action versions of the things I already did in the games.
Especially
It's
when
like I don't-
Uncharted
yeah.
is so is
Cinematic.
almost a movie already.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like the Last of Us show is going to they're being upfront about it, that it's like a retelling of the first game. But this is just like, oh, it's young Nate, but he's doing the same crap he does in the games, like identically. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to know how many different like scripts and ideas
An-ish,
that
probably.
this project went through.
Many.
Because it had like double-digit directors, as we've covered on this show.
Yeah. Yeah, how many directors did it take before they're just like, just take some stuff from the games. I don't know what to do anymore. Just take things from the games, slap them together, young Nate, boom, there's your movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's coming out, what, in February?
February 18th.
Yeah.
That's soon. It was honestly weird to have a release date on this thing. And to know that it's
Yeah.
coming out within a
Talking
couple of
about
months.
it for a long time.
Like every single news story was like lost another director, like in limbo again. Some actors are tied to it, and now we got a date. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Been a long time.
They can just
coming.
pump out movies fast. I felt like it was like, they're on set, here's the first picture. Oh, they're done filming, here's the trailer. It's out in 4 months. Like, yeah, it's really soon.
Yeah, what is that movie gonna be like? I'll go see it though.
Oh, me
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Will I like it? I don't know.
Probably see it a few times.
Also coming out next year in April, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I think we're all excited for how much we liked the first one. And Idris Elba, who's voicing Knuckles, says that Knuckles won't be sexy. And we were wondering, as big Knuckles fans, is that really in his control, or is Knuckles just always sexy?
Yeah, I don't think it is, honestly.
Also, isn't Idris Elba just a naturally sexy kind of guy?
I think that's why people brought it up in the first place, because he has a certain way about him in his voice, and since he's providing his voice to an already very sexy character, people were worried that some things might happen in this movie.
So is he just gonna give him like a really stupid voice? Like I gotta make him as not sexy as possible. I gotta give him the stupidest voice imaginable.
Really think about that.
I got to write this news article for IGN, and I was like, I almost went off the deep end talking about Knuckles' sex appeal. Oh and I stopped myself, and I figured I'd save it for the podcast and ask you guys, what are Knuckles' sexiest moments?
I don't know about moments. Features like Sonic Boom Knuckles has some really broad shoulders. That's pretty cool.
But he's too dumb. He's too
voiced
dumb
by Travis Willingham.
Yeah, but Knuckles is like a comedic relief buffoon. He's not sexy.
The himbo is the term that the kids use.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's right.
When Knuckles says, "Oh no," that's my favorite.
Pumpkin Hill Knuckles rap.
Ooh, yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
When Knuckles is trying to console everyone because Sonic is dead in Sonic Forces. That's some pretty sexy leadership.
The first conversation in the game.
Sonic Heroes, when he's doing the punches and he's just swearing over and over. That's pretty good.
Sonic Heroes, moment. Knuckles in general.
When he's a boss in Sonic and the Black Knight, and you just spam him and kill him instantly.
And he's dead in like 7 seconds. Yeah, Knuckles' fists, I think, is Knuckles' defining characteristic. Yeah. And Idris Elba can't take it away from him, you know? There's just certain features of Knuckles
animators can.
You know, Idris Elba has no control in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're going to be sexy no matter what Idris Elba says.
Me too. Do your worst, Idris Elba. You can't take
The question is, why did he have to come out and say that? What provoked him to do that?
Someone asked him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Like on Twitter?
A few people asked him.
No, it was an interview, and someone basically asked, like, hey, you're known for playing, like, really alluring male characters. Can you speak to your characterization of Knuckles?
Wow.
And he was like, well, I'm not allowed to say very much about how I play Knuckles, but I'll just tell you he won't be sexy, is pretty much what it was. Like, yeah, it's not in your control, man.
I think that is an incorrect statement.
Yep.
Right there.
One way to find out.
Go see the movie when it comes out.
See the movie.
I will see that in theaters certainly multiple times.
Just for
that's already. I feel like the first one just came out because it was the last thing before the world shut down. So it's like doesn't feel that long ago to me, and now we're already getting the sequel.
Pumping them out.
2 years ago already. Yeah.
Excited.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2. With Knuckles and Tails. And James Marsden, who also would have been a great Nathan Drake.
A great choice for Nathan Drake that just didn't happen.
Had a couple of solid options, and they didn't pick them.
No. Who else besides those two? Anyone else come to mind for Nathan Drake?
Nolan North.
Just have Nolan North, yeah. Because he looks like him too, and he is the voice. Yeah. But you know, if Charles Martinet cannot be Mario in the Mario movie, there's no way that Nolan North is. It would be
let's
Nathan
get
Drake
Chris
in this movie.
Pratt for Nathan Drake.
These casting choices for game movies.
Honestly, like, if they had made this Uncharted movie sooner, it probably would have been Chris Pratt, because he was like the hot actor for everything like 5 years ago.
And now he's Mario.
He could have been. Now he's Mario.
His downhill spiral, yeah.
Starts now.
All right, that's our movie talk. No Scoob this week.
Oof,
although I did watch the second live action.
Oh my god, how was it?
TV only.
Was it bad? Good.
It was good.
It's good.
My live action ranking is Monsters Unleashed, the first one that I talked about last week, the second one, and then the original live action one.
All right.
Last.
All right.
I don't like that one. Anyways, that's movie. That's open movies for the week. Let's move on to Halo. Halo Infinite campaign. was finally shown again in a trailer drop last week, and it looks good. I think I've been saying like every week on this show, I'm really worried about this campaign because they just showed nothing for it. But they finally dropped like a 6 minute trailer about it that shows it's still the open world concept that they talked about in summer of 2020. The story is basically the same. It's about the banished on the Halo ring. Master Chief's looking for Cortana, which makes me want to vomit.
He's got a new AI to help him.
To help
Gotta
him
add
find
another one into the
Cortana.
mix.
Yeah, but there's a skill tree which looked pretty interesting. They're talking about multiple ways to tackle these outposts. Kind of looks like, I don't know, Far Cry meets Halo, maybe? Is that a fair assessment from what we saw?
At least from that little bit of gameplay of the outpost, yeah. Which I don't know if I like or not.
Yeah, I don't know. Because Halo is this kind of sandboxy thing where it is fun to just like drive warthogs off cliffs and see how you can pull off some crazy moves and things like that. So,
but is that what the campaign's for? It's usually what Forge is for, right? Although Forge is not going to be there on launch.
Gotten some like vehicles into some pretty weird places in the campaign.
Yeah, I think the campaign is for that too. I would always like hold on to my ghost as long as possible, cram it through as many rooms as you could before having to silly nonsense like that. I love the part in the trailer when Chief is like, "Don't worry, you're safe now," and then he drives off a cliff with everyone in the warthog with him.
It's like that's what I would do. I'd kill everybody.
Yeah, so I thought it looked good. I just am not gonna play it until there's multiplayer. But I think it looks promising. I'm excited to try it out. Zach, is on your huge Halo kick. What do you think of this?
So this trailer came at a good time, pretty much wrapping up my marathon of the mainline Halo games. That being said, a good chunk of the story for Halo Infinite is based around something called the Banished, which is a group of Covenant, stemming from the Halo Wars games. Were there multiple? I think there were. Two Halo Wars. So I think that a good portion of the story you're going to need to play Halo Wars to understand, and I didn't think I would have to play Halo Wars. I just played the mainline ones, but I wasn't expecting that level of crossover because I didn't know they were really canon in a sense. But yeah, apparently the Banished are just a group of Covenant that are antagonists of the Halo Wars series. So along with the Find Cortana storyline, he's just going to be dealing with that, and I was a little upset. But I think I might have to play the Halo Wars game, but at least I've got a little bit of time. I got some time before we play it together. I mean, the co-op doesn't come out till what, February?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I might think about it, or I could just look up about the Banished. It's probably not the most important part. I'm sure the most important part is finding Cortana, as always.
Always. That's all that matters.
Other than that, I do.
So what? After Halo 4, they're just like, or Halo 5, they were like, we can't have anything tied to it, so let's go to Halo Wars next?
I don't know. It's really weird.
But one thing I do like that is kind of still a tie to 4 and 5 is that there are still Forerunner enemies in this campaign, which I feel like this trailer was our first confirmation of that. Before it only looked like Covenant enemies, but there were a few new bosses that were Forerunner and Forerunner weapons, it looks like, too. So I was happy to see that because I like some of the Forerunner weapons in Halo 4 and 5, and since I know a lot of people hate everything about those campaigns and games, I was wondering if they were just going to totally scrap the Forerunner stuff, so I was happy to see that was in there.
It looks like they're doing a little bit more with the mini boss aspect of things because in the last couple of Halos, it was horrible. The mini bosses in Halo 5, for example, were just reused over and over again and not particularly fun. So I'm glad to see that they showed off a couple bosses in this game that look really cool. It's nice. I like the open world aspects on the Halo array. I think it's cool that you can, make your own way to these different objectives. I like that there's a lot more vehicle freedom. Like there's outposts where you can summon different vehicles, so you get a choice of it, which I like a lot. The Widowmaker grappling hook looks fun. It looks a little bit goofy when you're grappling onto enemies, but you can use it for mobility too, which is really cool. I think the Covenant look really good. It's good to see Brutes again. Brutes are my favorite. So yeah, I think there's a lot of good that came out of this trailer. I'm optimistic. I am extraordinarily bummed that I will not be playing the co-op until February, because I only play these games co-op because that's the best way to do it. So far, I think it looks promising, gameplay-wise. Not even remotely convinced about the story.
No, and I'm kind of done caring. Like I used to be
Exactly. I
so
don't
into
play
the
it for the story
Halo
anymore.
universe. I was when I was like a teenager, and then when Halo 5 just dropped that big steaming pile of story, I was just totally out. And now I'm just like, yeah, I think it just looks like a fun world to romp around in. So I've always just loved the aesthetic of Halo, and to see a fun open world first person shooter take that on, that hopefully will have a better story than the Far Cry games, which I think are largely terrible stories. I'm excited about. But Kev, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm curious about the open world design. Like whenever you're bringing a very linear style of game with levels into an open world setting, it's, you're always curious how that's going to turn out, because with the linear world, you have to do things in a certain order. It allows you to set up certain set pieces without knowing exactly how they got there. They can end up in space and you're like, well, they just like shot off from here and we didn't need to see any of that. Like it's not connected exactly in that way. So it's a little bit easier to have those set pieces. And then, yeah, the story, like it can be like from start to finish, it's all connected in one long linear way. I guess now that you may not care about the story after what happened with Halo 5, it doesn't really matter how the story is pulled off. But I would be curious to see how they're going to design the story around an open world setting. If there's just going to be specific mission objectives that you go to, and then a lot of these outposts are just like outposts in other open world games where it's just like it gives you more items, it gives you more experience, but in terms of the actual progressing the story forward, it doesn't really do too much. So I'm curious how the open world design is going to change up how Halo stories have worked in the past. The upgrade system looks cool to change up how you play. Just beyond just getting different guns in the last game, now you can actually upgrade your abilities, which should keep it fresh throughout the entire runtime if the upgrades that you get are good. But I think that is the biggest thing that I'm curious about, is just how do you take a game that has been linear in its campaign since 2001 and put it into an open world design. We'll see if they can pull it off. And 343 doesn't have the best track record with Halo, so we'll see how they pull it off.
Yeah, it's interesting because from what people said about the multiplayer, people really liked those test fires they did for that, and I think this look seemed really promising. From what I've heard, they just had to strip out campaign co-op because they were making so many changes to the formula of Halo. They just didn't have time to integrate it, I guess. Which I still don't think is really acceptable, but it is what it is. So I'm optimistic about it. I am happy that it's coming to Game Pass, so I don't have to spend additional money on it in case it is not good. I will install the multiplayer on December 8th and hop into that, but I want to play the campaign with friends, with Zach. I don't want to play this alone, because if I don't care about the story and it kind of does turn into an outposty shooter like a Far Cry, yeah, that's not that fun to play alone. It's just not. Um, but it's interesting. A genre moving to open world. First person shooter campaigns and first person open world games are like totally different genres. So it almost feels more like genre jumping to me than like evolving the formula. Because first person campaigns are still very much a thing in a lot of games. Like I feel like especially this year, I feel like a ton of first person shooters are coming out right now. And so to have a Halo saying we're not going to do the linear thing, we're going to go do like what Far Cry does, it's just pretty interesting that like when Zelda went to open world, it felt like the natural evolution for that series. But I never thought Halo needed to go open world. I think they could have just kept pumping out linear campaigns forever and evolved their multiplayer, and no one would have said you need to go open world. I don't feel like that's a demand you see for FPS games like that.
Especially when it has a bunch of different game modes, whether it's multiplayer or whether for Halo specifically it has Forge. I think Forge gives you the open world design that you would want without it taking over the campaign as well.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if it turns out and if they stick with it. Who knows? They said this is going to be the only Halo game for 10 years. I just don't know what that means.
Remember what was it? It was Destiny. They said Destiny was going to have a 10-year life cycle, and then Destiny 2 came out like 2.5 years afterwards.
Yeah, well, I think that was the publisher making Bungie make a sequel. But now Destiny 2 has been the game for what, like
Has been
7 years, 6 years,
6 years, I think.
2014.
Is that
Really?
the?
I
That
thought
was the year
Destiny
the
1 came
first
out in like
one.
2013.
Let me confirm.
Maybe Destiny 2 came out in 2016, but it's been a while. They've been supporting Destiny 2
Destiny
for a long
2
time.
August 2017.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Years still.
So 4 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time for
When did
one
Destiny
game.
1 come out?
13?
I thought it was 2013.
Destiny 2014.
14.
September 2014. So that lasted 3 years, and then Destiny 2 came
So
out.
Destiny 2 has been going on longer
Then the first one, yeah.
And I don't think it's really showing any signs of stopping. I think they're just sticking with Destiny 2 forever.
Let's give it free and then have people charge people for the expansions or whatever.
And that's what Halo's doing. The multiplayer is free for everyone, not just Game Pass subscribers. The campaign is free for Game Pass subscribers, $60 otherwise, and then the multiplayer is free for everyone.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to feel, like, with the multiplayer being free, if the single-player offering, the campaign, would hold up the $60 price tag.
Yeah.
It would be
I was
interesting.
wondering how
But, I
long
mean,
it's
you get
gonna be.
multiplayer for free, but, you know,
They say
Still.
they said it's going to be the longest Halo so far.
which could
That's
be a
not
good
bad.
or a bad
That's
thing,
not
depending on
long.
how they design that open world.
Halos are very short.
Like, this is another weird thing I'm wondering about. Like, so the game is on a Halo ring. How much of that ring is actually the world? Because Halo rings are freaking huge. But how wide are they? Like, I don't know how wide a Halo ring is. Like, can you walk from one side to the other in like 30 minutes? I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see what this world map is going to look like, since its starting point is a Halo ring. I think it's really interesting.
Lots of
Is it gonna
question
feel that
marks.
open?
I mean,
If it's like you can go left to right for like a mile or up and down for like 30 miles, it's going to be like this really weird open world that you have to just march your way north through. We'll see. I'm excited about it. I am bummed that I'm not playing it in December. Like, that's a big bummer for me. Because that's one of the reasons I got an Xbox this year, was because I'm like, I'm going to play Halo when it drops. And now the campaign's going to be out, but I'm not playing.
wait a couple of months.
Yeah.
God, I feel like the co-op's going to get delayed.
Man.
I got a bad feeling in my stomach about that
I
one.
mean, it is kind of like a release roadmap, and those roadmaps are almost never correct.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. All right, that's Halo. That's Xbox. Let's move over to PlayStation. Normally, a State of Play or Nintendo Direct is our lead story, but State of Plays have been so mediocre that we're like 30 minutes into the show, and now we're getting to it. Yeah, so there was an October State of Play today. It was 20 minutes long, and it did not show much of note. Little Devil Inside, the game that was shown in the June 2020 reveal event, got a new trailer.
It looks good.
A couple other things. Death's Door is coming out on PlayStation and Switch.
That already?
It was announced separately. Bug Snacks is getting a big expansion for free. There's a new Star Ocean game coming out, which was
Yeah,
kind of a
that was apparently the last couple Star Ocean games haven't been good, according to social media. So, wonder if this one will be any good. When I was watching it, I thought that it looked very choppy and a little bit rough on that trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which doesn't mean that the final game is going to be bad, but it's not the best way to show off the game for the first time, because at least for me, that's probably going to be the prevailing thought with that game, is like, man, that game did not run well when they showed it off originally.
Yeah, and it's just like almost more so than the announcements. I just want to talk about these events as a whole, because they're getting such a bad rap. I don't even know if people are that excited when they hear they're announced anymore. I know I'm not.
Well, specifically with this one, it kind of reminded me of Nintendo's first partner showcase, in the sense that it was all third party, and Sony announced that beforehand. So I was going into it expecting very little. I'm still kind of disappointed, to be honest, because besides Bug Snacks, which I do still want to play whenever I get a PS5, and Devil Inside looks interesting. Like, I do think that art style looks interesting, and I like the world map, exploration and stuff. Like, it piqued my interest a little bit, but beyond that, there really wasn't a whole lot for me there. But yeah, I think it just reminds me of that first partner showcase in that it was all third party and it just didn't really hit. But at least with that, didn't that have one thing at the very end that was kind of a big deal? Was there?
The first partner showcase?
Yeah, or was there nothing in that one?
Oh man, I feel like there was. I'll check on that. I'll check on that real quick.
But yeah, I think it was just kind of like that, where it was like third party stuff and nothing was mind blowing. But at the very least with that, Nintendo specifically has a different branding for it, where it's a partner showcase and you kind of know what to expect, that there's not going to be any Nintendo stuff. Here, if you didn't look at Sony's tweets and things beforehand, you would have just thought it was a regular state of play. There was nothing else that really told you that it was going to be third-party only content.
The first partner showcase announced Shin Megami Tensei 5 was coming out in 2020.
So they had one thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I don't think Little Devil Inside is a big enough thing to cap a whole show on.
Me neither. And then I don't understand why they feel the need to totally box themselves in with these events. Like, it's almost like if something doesn't fit, they're like third party only for 20 minutes. Why? Why don't you say like a focus on third party? For example, they just announced the Returnal 2.0 update that finally adds save states. I'm going to jump back into that game. Why didn't they just wait a day to announce that and tuck that into the state of play? Like, if they were trying to build up these events as kind of a thing that you want to be there to watch, they should take everything from the week and just not announce anything else and shove it all into that one event. Another example, the GTA remasters were not even mentioned in this thing. It's a huge game that's coming out next month that just got its first trailer. Yeah, even if people had already seen it, it's still a good reminder that, hey, this remastered trilogy is coming out in 2 weeks. That should have been in there too. Like, I just don't get why they exclude some things from these showcases that, even if they were just like quick 30-second mentions, would make it a better event overall. Like GTA and Returnal, I think would have made this thing better, and they just weren't there. Instead, it was like indies and things that people weren't really too hot about.
Yeah, it was pretty underwhelming. Zach, did you have any other thoughts on it?
I mean, it's been a long time since I've had a lot of hope for a state of play, so going into it, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. I didn't even know it was third party only. I didn't see those tweets. I was like expecting more. But
yeah, I think if they're going to be doing more of these in the future, I think they really have to tell you ahead of time, like Nintendo did with the partner showcase. Because that, even though I was disappointed, it did temper my expectations a little bit, because I knew there wasn't going to be any Sony stuff there.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were a couple things that looked decently good. Like you said, Little Devil Inside. I love the art style. I think it looks really fun. I might try it out. But other than that, not a whole lot caught my attention. I just, they really need to rework how they do these things. And I think they should take Logan's advice and try and stop announcing things the week of and make a more jam-packed show, because this thing was only like 23 minutes. Just not a whole lot.
Not much, yeah.
And the games are too long. The time for showing each game is too long. They only showed like 6 games, it felt like, in 20 minutes. Too much. Dude, like, honestly, debut the Uncharted movie trailer in this thing. Like, it doesn't just have to be about, like, third-party games coming to PS5. Like, make it about everything. If you debut
Talks about the Mario
trailer,
movie in the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they the God of War PC port, which was announced like 5 days ago. Why not throw that in there too? There was just a new PlayStation blog about Aloy's abilities in Horizon Forbidden West. Why was that game not there? It's the biggest PlayStation game coming out.
Well,
in the next
they really
months.
like their blog. They like to announce a lot of things on the blog and keep them out of the videos for some reason.
It's like, even though they're minor announcements of ports or details for an upcoming game, just adding big franchises like Horizon, God of War, GTA, Returnal, it would make it memorable. I can barely remember a single thing that was in this event because it was all just so middle of the road. It's like they took the middle 20 minutes of a Nintendo Direct and were like, here you go. They didn't have the strong beginning or the strong end. Little Devil Inside, you're right, Kev. It's not an ender. It looks cool, but especially since you announced the day before that it was going to be there, and then that's what you ended the show with. It's like, okay, yeah. I also think that they should start saying explicitly what's not there, like Nintendo has done in the past, because there was part of me hoping for Final Fantasy 16. We haven't heard from that game in like a year and a half, and I was like, maybe
Yeah.
that's it. But nope.
When I saw Square Enix on the screen, that was my first thought, but then it was Star Ocean.
Star Ocean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so these events are terrible. I think that I don't know if there's been like one good state of play from start to finish. Because the really good PS5 showcase event, they did not call it a state of play.
No. No, they didn't. Yeah. I'm curious how the state of plays will be going forward. I mean, they got more. You would hope that the next one will have some Sony games in it. But I guess like my other thought was we keep seeing all of these news stories come out about how Sony is very, very focused on these blockbuster titles that take a long time to come out, and you've only got so many that are in the works. And if you don't have those that are ready to show, what are you going to show? Are they going to have those mid-tier games that from franchises that people like that could hold up a show like this? Or if one of these big games isn't ready, but they want to do a showcase like this anyways, it's just going to flop like this one.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the state of play. Not much else to add there. I mentioned GTA, though. That trilogy did get a new trailer, the first look at the gameplay. You guys, I think, are more excited for this than I am. So, Kev, I'll go straight to you. Kind of a more cartoony look. They kept it looking like the originals, but cleaned it up. What do you think of that choice?
Some of it looks quite good. I think that environmental effects and just the look of the city looks really good. Like there was the shot of driving through Liberty City from GTA 3 in the rain. That looked really good. The train going by, the main street from Vice City with all the neon. I think that looks really good. The character models, I'm still not 100% sold on. Some of them look fine.
They looked a little weird.
And then some of them, like there were a couple that just looked very flat. Like, I don't know who he was. I haven't played these games. I do want to play him at some point. But like the big fat guy in one of the scenes, like he just looked flat. Like there was no detail to his character at all. Like I think that the environments look really good. The characters are kind of hit and miss. And looking at it now, I am a little bit disappointed that they delisted the original games, because now if people want to play them on PC or whatever, and they don't want to go back to the old consoles that they were on, this is going to be their only option. And if they don't like the look of this game, I guess you're out of luck. Yeah. I think it's a little hit or miss.
I think outside of a from the ground up remake, this is fine for a remaster. I think they look pretty good overall, especially the environments, like you said, the dynamic lighting. It's very colorful, and I think that they did a good job about that. I am hit or miss on the character models, but they've always looked bad, so I don't really know how much of that they could have fixed in just a up-res, but those games look kind of ugly going back to them now. They do not hold up very well aesthetically. So it was probably quite the undertaking they had to go through to get these games to look semi-decent for a modern audience, given what GTA 5 looks like now. So I think I would have preferred a remake, but that would have taken probably a lot of time that they do not have over there at Rockstar with all the stuff they're doing. So it's fine. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go back and play them. I've played all of them to completion in the past back on PS2, so I don't know if I really need to go back and play them. I would only do it for nostalgia's sake, but I don't know if I'm crazy nostalgic feeling for them right now, so who knows down the road. But yeah, I think it looks semi-decent.
What's really weird is we don't know yet if they're going to be sold individually.
That's one of the collection.
Isn't San Andreas coming to like Game Pass or something?
Yeah, it is.
Right.
So that one is individually on Game Pass.
I was wondering about that, because that's a really weird just like split, because what if I want to play them all, but then I got San Andreas for free, so it's like, I don't know.
You try it out and see if the games are good.
And
it's
then
true.
GTA 3 is coming to PlayStation Now. It's like these are weirdly split up.
Yes, to be fair, the one I would want to play the most is San Andreas, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it looks like if
real.
you if you want to play all the games, you have to get the collection. You can't buy them all separately.
Vice City anywhere for free?
Vice City is only available in the collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm curious about this one. I was a little bit late to that. By that time, I was starting to play the Saints Row games instead. So I'd be curious to check these things out, but I'll definitely wait and see how they look when they come out. And I may get them physically as well. The physical version comes out after the digital version, I believe. So
yeah, I think so.
So maybe I'll wait and see how the reception is before possibly picking up a physical copy. But yeah, it looks all right.
So
I'm just
GTA.
glad that we saw gameplay of it. I was so baffled the last time they showed it off that they didn't show any gameplay.
Yeah.
So it's nice to finally get it, especially since it's coming out so soon.
This next story is really weird to me. I feel like all the time on this show I say that if Nintendo announces a date, that game will not get delayed. And for the last many years, that's been true, but it is no longer true. Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp was supposed to release on December 3rd, and it was pushed to spring 2022. Still working on it a little bit, so not a huge delay, just a few months.
They don't even give a date.
Yeah, that's the thing I was looking at. It's just spring. Yeah. They didn't even want to put a specific date on it.
We heard nothing about this game. Nothing since E3, basically.
Apparently
and
for
I
a
was
good
like,
reason.
man, are they just not marketing this? Because I know we say it all the time that they market one thing at a time. It was Metroid, now it's Pokemon. Was it going to be Advance Wars after Pokemon? But yeah, apparently this game was just not in the place. They're so secretive that we'll never really know why or what state it's in, because we haven't seen anything of it since June. But yeah, Advance Wars, another game coming out in the insanely busy spring season, which I'm going to say is probably not going to be the best time for it.
Really. That is a very jam-packed time of the year next year. Oh, it's a bit unfortunate to be moved to that time slot, but if they don't have a date, maybe it'll get delayed again to a better time slot.
What state the game is? Yeah, I feel like at this point with all the games that have been delayed because of COVID or because of other reasons, if you're going to want to delay your game to a time when it's a little bit lighter, you're going to have to delay it quite a ways out. So it's not like, I mean, they had to delay it. I guess they just didn't really have another choice. And maybe they are waiting a little longer to see when is the best time to drop it, since they didn't give a date and just said spring of 2022. Yeah. That gives it a couple of months window when they can decide to drop it.
I don't really know anything that's coming out in April. Everything's in March or February.
Yeah, February, March is it's a wild time.
Yeah, another interesting thing is I was kind of expecting a Fire Emblem game next year, and this delay doesn't mean we won't see it, but I do wonder, since it is the same genre, if Advance Wars being pushed to the middle of next year might change an unknown Fire Emblem's release plans. But
do you think there's going to be a Fire Emblem?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's going to be a Fire Emblem?
I think that there were some rumors a while back that they were remaking the Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn for Switch.
That would be good.
Those things are
so hard to get.
Yeah, that would be outstanding. And I don't know. I just think it's time. I mean, Three Houses came out. It'll have been 3 years by the time 2022 rolls around, because that came out in July of 2019. So I just think it's time.
Was it really that late? I thought it was earlier in 2019.
Yeah, it was summer.
Got pushed, didn't it?
I don't remember. But yeah, it came out in July. But I did some digging because
Right, I didn't play it until 2020.
Maybe that's why.
I did it in early 2020 because it had been out for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I played it when it came out, but no.
I did some brief looking into it of like the last time a Nintendo first party game with a date was delayed, and the last one I could find was Star Fox Zero.
Wow.
Which was announced for a November 20th, 2015 release, and then pushed to April 21st, 2016.
Pretty long delay.
So it has been 5 years, 6 years since the last Nintendo first party game with a date has been delayed.
New Horizons not have a date when it got delayed?
That just had a
No.
window, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Things with Windows have been pushed, but when they announce a date, it has not been pushed since Star.
With
Star
Windows
Fox Zero
get
is not a
pushed,
good precedent. Star Fox Zero did not turn out so good.
Advanced Wars now is back into that window slot, so it might get pushed again. Who knows? It lost its
Yeah.
date.
Yeah, it did lose its date. But yeah, also that's also really weird to see a game with a date get pushed to no date at all.
Window. Yeah,
Last
it's
of Us
weird.
did that, but that was with like COVID and stuff. So who knows? Yeah,
Hopefully it's
Maybe
still
that's
good.
more delayed.
Hopefully it comes out and it's good.
I thought December was a great time for it since it is a quieter November, December. I thought that was going to be a really good window for it to come out. So
Guess it
I'm
just
a little
wasn't ready.
disappointed it's not hitting that.
Yeah.
Yep. And then real quick, Destroy All Humans 2, skipping last gen consoles. We kind of thought that because we theorized on this show because it was only shown in a PS5 box, but that is now true.
It's just
Next-gen
interesting
game.
to see a third party make that jump. Like I think I've talked about it before. Usually it's first party, like Sony or Nintendo or Xbox that makes that big jump first, and then the third parties will follow suit when they're like, okay, now that the current gen console's in enough hands, and we can just go on and make current gen only now. So it's interesting to see a third party be one of the first, and it's a remake too. To be like, hey,
a remake of the second remake in a series that was just on last gen consoles.
Yeah.
It
Which
is
means it's
weird.
got to be getting a pretty big overhaul from the first Destroy All Humans remake. Which
Oh, it's gonna
is
feel like
exciting.
a completely different game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just interesting that a third party is going to be one of the first to be like, hey, skipping last gen, current gen only. But if that allows them to bring forth the vision that they have for it in this remake, I'd say go for it. Hopefully a couple more people can get a PS5 or a Series X in their hands before it comes out.
Yeah. Yep, and then last story here, another crossover platforming fighting game has leaked. This one from Warner Brothers. It's called the apparently Warner Brothers Multiverses, which is quite the name.
The multiverse thing. It's all over the place. I can't keep track of which multiverse is what.
Yeah, and this has a bunch of different WB properties. This is none of this is confirmed. Basically, HBox, who's a Smash player, has been tweeting a lot about this. He put up a YouTube video about it, and then Warner Bros. Copyright striked the video, so that kind of lends some credit to say that it's
He
real.
leaked a picture of the roster,
Yeah,
like the
there's
menu
also a
roster.
picture of the roster floating around that has Steven Universe, Batman, Harley Quinn, Finn and Jake from Adventure Time, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
What a
but
cast.
No Scooby. Superman, Wonder Woman, Gandalf from Lord of the Rings, Rick from Rick and Morty, Bugs Bunny, and Tom and Jerry.
So
just
wild
a
cast.
bonkers cast. Yeah.
Also got an original character,
Yeah, don't know what the heck that thing is.
which is
It's
really
like a
weird.
Deer with
A green deer. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it looks like Toothless but green with antlers.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Just the
But-
Milwaukee Bucks logo?
Pretty
Maybe.
much. It pretty much is, but more cartoony. Yeah, so then Jeff Grubb from GamesBeat confirmed this game is real, but he said that it looks cheap, apparently, that it might be free to play with future characters
God.
sold as DLC, and that the first DLC fighter might be LeBron James from Space Jam.
Bringing in the Milwaukee Bucks, bringing in LeBron James. Basketball's coming in.
All these new brawl fighters looking so cheap. That is not good for the genre.
No.
It's really
Yeah, 'cause
upsetting.
I'm going to talk about Nick All-Stars because I played it a little bit, and
Yeah, you
it
are.
feels cheap. And if this looks cheaper than that, it's not something I want to touch. Even though some of these characters are interesting. I like
Excited.
Scooby-Doo. I
Warner
like
Bros
Tom and
has a
Jerry.
lot of amazing properties.
What other ones besides this? They have Harry Potter, Rocky,
Mortal Kombat, yeah, Rocky.
Yeah.
They got
Godzilla.
Zilla, yeah,
Mad Max.
all of Adult Swim, all of Cartoon Network.
It just
They
be the
can
most
do, like, their
bizarre
own-
roster.
A lot
Yeah,
of
it's
movie
weird.
properties, yeah.
Because, like, Nintendo characters at this point fit together. Nickelodeon characters fit together. But just seeing, like, Steven Universe is going to fight
Gandalf.
He's gonna fight Gandalf.
It's a little weird.
Yeah. I'm
Odd
all for
pairing.
more platform fighters, but not ones that are just cheap cash-ins that
Some
don't,
heart into
don't
them.
play
Yeah,
well.
seriously, my goodness.
Man, they
This
probably
one's
just
exciting.
because with all, Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl, they were able to generate so much hype just based on the character roster, and I feel like WB would probably do the same thing, where they're just like,
Looking
look at
at
all this
this roster
wacky
leak,
crap
I'm
and all these
excited.
crazy characters. Go out and buy this because you can play as your favorite movie character or something from our TV shows or games or whatever, and then it's not good. But they know that they can at least get an initial group of people in based on just how crazy and far reaching
Yeah.
the character roster is. I feel like that's what Nickelodeon did.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's basically all but real at this point. We seem to hear about it. We don't even know if this is like a console game. Like if this is like some mobile
Well,
Apple
free-to-play
Arcade
thing.
only.
Yeah, who knows?
data.
Yeah. But Multiverses Steven Universe versus Gandalf.
Oh my god.
Versus
That's exciting,
LeBron
though.
James.
Shaggy's a weird pick. Like why isn't it Scooby?
Scooby, yeah.
We
Be
all about
Shaggy and Scooby, like a duck hunt type thing with Scooby and like Shaggy riding
Or just
Scooby,
having both
maybe.
of them be in there. It's just like two separate
Or
characters.
that.
They can
Yeah,
pull
it's
it
like
off.
you have like 4 DC characters and then
They
it's just
did go
Shaggy.
pretty heavy on the DC, which I wasn't happy about because there's a lot of
Yeah.
other properties that currently have no representation, and this is a very small roster even compared to Nickelodeon. But
Who's that guy with like the blonde hair and sunglasses? Johnny Karate? Is that his name?
Johnny Bravo?
Gosh, who am I- Johnny Bravo.
Johnny Bravo.
Is that WB?
Cartoon Network?
That Cartoon Network?
That's Cartoon Network.
yes, Johnny Bravo is Cartoon Network, so he's owned by WB. So is like Samurai Jack and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot that they could do.
Dexter's
Like,
Laboratory.
they
They
could
got a lot
bring in
of.
Mortal Kombat characters for crying out loud.
Yeah, they could go really off the. I mean, if the DLC of LeBron James is true, I think they are going real off the rails with
Yeah.
these picks.
Like it'd be weird to
Yeah.
have a real life person in one of these brawlers.
Yeah, just a real person who's apparently owned by Warner Brothers now. Which, if they own LeBron James, do they own Michael Jordan from the first Space
Maybe.
Jam? Like,
Maybe.
I don't
Yeah.
know. That's
Who
weird.
knows? It's really weird. Yeah.
Good
LeBron
stuff there.
James coming to a Smash Bros. I'm not gonna lie. If LeBron James is in this and it's free to play, I would download it to try.
What would be his
LeBron
moves?
James. Yeah. Throwing basketballs.
Yeah.
I don't know. He could just punch and stuff. Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a marathon of news, but that's it.
Woo. All right, Zach.
Oh man. Well, I guess that'll do it for the long list of news we had this week. We'll move on to the shorter list of games we've been playing. We'll start with Kevin, since I think it's more of the same, just nothing but Stardew. Stardew all the time, 24/7.
Did play a lot of
nonstop.
Stardew, but I'm almost at the end of Lost Judgment. Lost Judgment tells you 3 separate times that you should prepare for this final section.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
It tells you it when you're in Kamurocho and you're like, all right, get everything done because this is it. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Go to Ijincho. And then it's like, all right, finish everything in Ijincho because this is it. I'm like, okay. And then I did some story stuff and they're like, this is it. The fights are going to get really hard. Go and buy stuff beforehand. I'm like, why did I need 3 of those? Like, I guess I didn't check to see if like they locked off Kamurocho after that. I guess they probably
That
did.
would make sense.
but-
yeah.
I just question why they had to do that. Like, why couldn't you go to Ijincho and like do the stuff there and then have it lock it off at the one end point? But I don't know. Anyways, I am right
Gross.
before the final section, so I will definitely.
As far as
put
you
that
know,
on my
there
next-
could be more.
there could be more
lockdowns.
warnings.
Yeah,
Like
you don't know.
the fights
You've only
get
been through
even
3.
tougher from here. Be extra prepared. Go buy more stuff.
How's it holding up?
Still not as good as the first game. I think the problem is that they showed, unless they have some big reveal at the end, which I kind of don't think they will, I think they showed their hand too early in the story. Like, I knew you knew the twists that were going to happen already. Like, there were a couple of big twists that were in there for sure, but I don't think any got to the level that the original Judgment did, where it was kind of like, wow, like that's crazy. There was maybe one of those moments in Lost Judgment. which isn't to say it's bad. I think the story is still pretty good, but it just doesn't have the impact. The way it handles certain things is a little bit iffy at times. But I'll hold final judgment on that until I finish the game, because they could still throw some
game in the series.
Final judgment.
This might be.
They could
Might
still
be final
some,
judgment.
Yeah, probably. They could still throw some stuff in at the final hour that kind of changes things up. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll wait until I finish off that campaign before I have any final thoughts on that. But should have it done by next week.
That I actually heard from some of the reviews that I read was that going into like the third act, you kind of know everything.
You do.
Like, oh, that's really surprising.
Yeah, and there's like these moments where it's kind of like they're expecting you to be kind of blown away, or like, whoa, we found this out. And it's just like, I already knew that. Like, or you could see it coming from a mile away. Which again, coming off of the first game where I think it had some really cool reveals, it's just not as impactful in some of those story moments. Still good though. I still like it. Still like it a lot, and just the area and the world and side quests and even the main story is still pretty solid. But I'll have final thoughts on that next week, hopefully. And yeah, other than that, just more Stardew.
Nice.
Yeah. What you guys been up to?
Me? You want me to go? I'll go.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
do you not want to? I guess you got a lot to talk about. I guess I could go first since I don't have nearly as much to talk about. I finished Ace Attorney Trilogy. I finished Trials and Tribulations finally. God, it took a long time. I did stagnate there a bit in the second case, but I got my stride and blew through cases 3, 4, and 5. And final thought is that it is my favorite in the trilogy. The final game, I think it is the best one. I think 1 is the second best, and I think 2 was the worst, but still good. So overall, 3, the final case in 3 I thought was phenomenal. It's probably my favorite case in the entire trilogy. I think it's got a lot of great twists and turns in it that I didn't see coming at all. It's got a couple things that you could probably predict, but man, it was a really long case too, and it just brought a lot of things to close, especially there was a lot of connecting factors in the first 4 cases that got brought back into 5 that I never even considered would be brought back. So I thought that was really cool. And overall, it was just a great trilogy. I liked it a lot. I loved the characters. I loved the cases. The story was fantastic. And thank you, Logan, for forcing me to play those. It did take me a little bit of time to get through them, though.
What's your game plan after this? You going
Apollo
to the 3DS?
Justice.
You're going to the 3DS?
I'm buying it digitally on 3DS. There was apparently a 3DS remaster, according to Logan, that's pretty cheap digitally, so I think I'm just going to go with that next and then move on to 5 and 6, and then do Great Ace Attorney to wrap it up.
I hope that you can harness some of
the
Logan's ability
investigations
to create these re-releases of games out of thin air. Like, if you buy this game and then they announce the trilogy, because that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the second trilogy to come onto Switch.
I know. I was thinking about it, but I kind of...
Please do. I
want to stop. Yeah. Second trilogy would be nice. I wouldn't lie. I probably, if they do announce it fairly soon, I might just, like, stop wherever I'm at and wait for it. I don't know. But as of right now, the game plan is to move to 3DS. Which is fine. I guess I will have to play the Miles Edgeworth investigation games, which I forgot about, which I guess are also on DS.
Yeah,
I don't think those are coming up. I don't think those are.
Or none.
First one is.
First one is okay.
Yeah, but I have a translated copy of the second one.
Yep. Be nice to have those come over too. There's
I don't think that'll ever happen. That wasn't even in the leaked documents as a possibility. Like, there's no mention of those games anywhere.
You never know. Great Ace Attorney was in limbo for years.
Yeah,
doesn't mean it won't take a while, but
yeah,
maybe they'll get rescued.
I think it's tough because those were on the DS, so they look ugly on any modern hardware. It would take
you probably have to do a lot of reworking there.
It's true. I think the Game Boy Advance drawing style that the first trilogy had translated pretty well. I think it looked really good. I think that art style holds up at any size. And they did have Rise from the Ashes, which was originally a DS case. over, and it did have some 3D aspects in the video evidence. So I had some experience doing it, but it might be more difficult for future cases. I don't really know how crazy they get in terms of visuals. So see, and then other than that, Logan and I did a bit more Final Fantasy 14. We hopped back in doing our own separate things in our separate towns. We found out we were pretty close to getting to a place where we would be able to travel to different land masses, and then we got to the end of our respective beginner stories. I don't want to call it a tutorial because I didn't really feel like that, but the first chunk of story that locks you into a certain area, we both wrapped that up. Logan did it a little bit before I did, so he came to my little island, and then we met up, and then I finished the story and got to explore other areas. So that's basically where we ended off. Logan has said that he is still not sold on it. We haven't crazy delved into what the multiplayer is capable of. We've still only just done like a little bit together and mostly single player stuff. So we're going to give it one more decently sized session to see if we jive with how the multiplayer is structured and if we can actually do missions together or how that even works. So
kind of important, yeah.
Absolutely important, especially for a game that's hundreds of hours long. It's going to be a time sink if we decide to go through with it, so we're going to have to be convinced our next play session. But yeah, that's about where we're at. I'm liking it a lot so far. I like the way the story is handled. The town that I started in, I think, looks amazing. I think it's a gorgeous town. The combat's pretty good. I mean, a lot of complaints, but I don't know if it's a 500-hour kind of game for me, like Monster Hunter World was. Logan, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's just all going to come down to how much fun it is to actually do these missions together, because even though we're now synced up story-wise, like our next mission is the same, we still can't really do them together. We can walk to it together and then complete it individually and then walk to the next one together. But I don't really know if that's going to carry us through. Yeah.
Neither. These games are
how long to beat. It's way too long.
How much just
just for the
growing.
first one.
Oh, is that for the very specific original
Realm
game?
Reborn.
A Realm Reborn is like 100.
And then there's 4 expansions. Yeah, and then that's before Heaven's Word, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what these games are for, right?
So I don't know, and I'm not in love with the. I don't think it's that engaging, and the story hasn't grabbed me yet, and I just don't know if this is something I want to invest that much of my game time into. When
especially for $15 a month.
Yeah.
A 500-hour series of. Yeah. It's gonna take years and a lot of money of investment. So
like Zach and I threw around like playing the Gears of War series together. Like I might prefer to do that. Get back into Divinity. All these things we just will not have time for if we continue with Final Fantasy. Yeah. I don't love it as much as I wanted to, which is maybe a good thing, because I don't have to sink that much time and money into it if we did truly love it.
Dangerous game with those. With all that time and money.
I'm going to play it regardless of whether or not Logan
okay, so Zach will just dump all the time and money into it.
It's whatever.
Yeah. He'll still be one of us.
Yeah, that's about it for me.
The other thing I mentioned it, Nick All-Star friend has it, so I went over and played it with him. And I don't think I am that into it. I've said this before, it's just hard for anything to try and replicate something that's the best in genre like Smash, which just has so much content and is so polished and so smooth and clean and just feels like a premium product. And Nick All-Star Brawl is a knockoff, and it feels like one, I guess, is the best way to put it.
I had a very similar thought for the State of Play today when it showed off that kart racer, and I'm like, it's just not Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But at the very least, this is on PlayStation. Whenever they show those for like Nintendo platforms, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, why would you play that? Yeah, but like something like Team Sonic Racing, I felt like had good tracks, good design, good items, a lot of character stuff to differentiate itself. And Nick All-Star, it doesn't take advantage of its IP. You have SpongeBob, Patrick, Aang, Korra, the Ninja Turtles, cool characters, but the lack of voice acting really hurts it. The sound effects are incredibly generic. The stages are not that memorable. Like it's just like a really generic jellyfish field, like no references. Every stage only has one song, and the song is like a 30-second loop
Ooh.
and gets incredibly old instantly. There are no items at all in the game. You don't even have a choice to turn them on or off. They're just not there. Just a no item. And I feel like it's like a kart racer with no items. Like platform fighters can be competitive, but they're designed to be party games. So to have no items just feels like a big miss. So I don't like that part of it. There's no alternate skins for the characters. So if all three of us picked SpongeBob, there'd be no way to tell us apart. We just look exactly the same, which is another big missed opportunity. Um, the most annoying thing is like you have to remap your controls in between every single fight. Like it doesn't even save it from fight to fight. And the layout, the original controls, coming from a Smash background, I did not like the layout of them. So I remapped them, and I went back, and it just doesn't save it. Like the next fight, you finish the fight, results screen, back to character select screen, you pick your character, and then you just have to go through and remap your entire control. It's just super
great.
annoying. Yeah, and then the fighting is fine. It does some cool stuff that's a lot different from Smash. Like you can grab people in the air, which is really interesting. There's some fun types of moves, but it just feels cheap. Yeah, I was pretty unimpressed with it. I think if they update this game, maybe they add voice acting like they want to, add some other cool features, it would be good. But even at a budget price, it doesn't worth it to me right now, which is a shame because I love these characters. Like I love
No,
a
it
lot
seems
of
like
them.
a bit of a waste because of the roster that they have at their disposal. Could have made a fantastic brawler with these characters, but yeah, the fact that it looks, sounds, and feels a bit cheap is really upsetting. Although I still very much want to try it out for myself and form my own opinions, but yeah, on what I've
Yeah,
seen so far, that seems like a pretty common opinion.
there's just like no modes either. It's like
No,
stock
it's very
battle, time battle. There's like a sports mode, and that's it. That is everything in the game. The menus just don't look good. Yeah, so I was pretty disappointed in it, but if it was ever like $10, I'd be like, oh, this might be worth grabbing. But then when it came down to it, I had a few friends over. We're just playing Smash. We're not
Yeah,
playing that.
you've got the option to play Smash. If you're only on one console and you don't have a Switch, I guess that this could be an option. If you also like
Maybe. Yeah.
Nickelodeon, but yeah,
Yeah.
if you, it is the same thing with Mario Kart and other kart racers, where it's like if you have that one already, there is very little reason to go to any of the other ones when you already have the perfect experience right there.
Yeah. But what I will say is with the resurgence in these all these different companies trying to capitalize on Smash's genre, I think it's only
now
a
that
matter of
Smash is
time
finished.
until PlayStation All Stars 2. I think it's gonna happen on PS5.
That I would be excited for.
I would play that.
I played a bit of the first one and
Hopefully, they learn some
love to see
lessons.
some additions to new characters. God, I would hope so.
We don't have time today and we didn't prep, but we should do an Ode to segment where we build a roster for PlayStation All
That'd be fun.
Stars.
Yeah, look out for that in the future.
I feel like since the first one came out, they've just had so many new IP
They have.
that
They
are
absolutely
iconic
have.
already.
Like Aloy wasn't in the
Jin
first one.
there, Aloy, Joel and Ellie. Like, there's a lot of people that I feel like people associate with PlayStation. The Astrobot would be great. Yeah, we should do this.
They have a Smash
Spider-Man?
a Smash amount, yeah. 80 fighters, easy.
Yeah. But yeah, Nick All Star's meh. And then that's all I really need to talk about. I've been playing Nick All Star and playing more Ultimate inspired me to go back and play some of the older Smash games. I'm trying to create a more definitive ranking of them, and I'm scoring them based on like all their single player content, their rosters, their stages, everything. And I might write something for the Ode to Games website about it. So I'm going pretty in depth for this. So yeah,
that's exciting.
not too far into my project yet, but that's something I'm doing.
All right. saw you started Xenoblade.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah. How much time
Yeah.
have you put into it?
I played it for like 4 hours,
Okay.
and I just don't really like that MMO style combat. Just not really
Kinda like
into
the
the
weight and the charges and stuff.
Yeah, I don't like anything where it's like auto attack and then you sit and wait to hit your buttons. I don't really like combat like that.
Fair.
But I want to like it. For the story is great.
Story's good. Beautiful world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the combat is not doing it for me.
All right.
I'm in a rut. I'm in a rut since I beat Metroid.
Well, what's next coming out? Well,
Death
you're also playing.
Loop.
You haven't played Lost Judgment recently?
No, I was
Loop.
no. My girlfriend was super sick for a week, and then I was super sick, and we
Yeah,
just
that
weren't
doesn't bode
feeling
well.
up to it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else is coming out? in
Still
the
playing
next-
Deathloop.
Okay, Deathloop. Well, now
Oh my God,
Returnal's
Deathloop.
got its feature in, so you could hop back into that.
I'll play that again.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, but I'm kind of until Halo, which I'm not even playing, like the single player. I'm kind of done with like single player games this year.
When's Horizon 5?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I always keep forgetting about that. That's coming out. Like
When does
in
that
2
come
weeks.
out? Yeah, that's out.
November
Honestly,
8th. November.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Horizon 5 and Returnal and Deathloop and Lost Judgment.
Yep.
Juggling
I've
a
got a
couple
lot.
of titles there.
Just haven't been in anything. Just been playing like Smash a lot.
All right. Whew. All right. We've gone on a little long. Any final thoughts before we wrap up for this week?
Scoob.
Scoop. Haunted Chocolatier is my number one most anticipated game now. It's
Wow.
hopped up to number one
2025.
of future.
Zach,
Yeah.
what's your number one?
My God, what's even coming out? Like ever?
That's
Been
been announced.
confirmed?
Yeah, that
God,
they've actually announced.
Sports Story.
What
Oh.
story is up there for me? Saints Row is
It's
also
up there for me,
on
too.
my list.
What's Zach excited for these days?
Am I excited for nothing? Am I
There's
dead
gotta be
inside?
something.
What's going on here?
You're excited for
You gotta
Sports
figure
Story,
this out.
right? There's one.
Oh,
You're excited to play Deathloop when it comes to Xbox / buying a PS5.
yeah.
Yeah.
Deathloop Xbox release.
Halo, you don't got anything? What's your most
Come on,
anticipated?
Shining
Logan,
Pearl.
Is it Zelda? Next Zelda?
It's Zelda.
Yeah.
The Wild 2.
Yeah. Zelda and Sports Story are my big two right now.
All right.
Where the hell is Sports Story?
That Twitter has been dead since those last two posts. Why did they come back? And especially with those posts, it really made it seem like it was going to be like a couple more tweets. Like
A
it,
stream of content.
yeah, of just like, here's some of the new ideas that we've come up. Nope, 2 tweets.
Yep. June 14. 4.5 months since we last heard from Sports
Anything. And nothing. No screenshots, no updates, no nothing.
Story.
Every
Yeah.
time that there's a Nintendo Direct or some sort of showcase or anything, I'm like, man, I feel like Sports Story. It's time for it to show up. And it just never does.
And prior to that, it was delayed in August of 2020. So in the last year and 2 months, we've heard from it twice. A delay and then 2 tweets.
Been a rough go.
Ooh. Yep.
I hope we hear more about it soon.
Me too.
I'm very excited for that.
I think
as well.
Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok,
Yeah.
and Wolverine are top 3.
All right.
Ooh, Wolverine. Yeah.
Good pick. That thing's a little.
I'm excited for I mean, does Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 count? We know it exists.
Absolutely.
I-
They made a
yeah.
part 1. They're not going to not make a part 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen it though.
Yeah. I would assume it's coming.
What's the name of the Final Fantasy about despair? What is it?
Final
Strangers in
Fantasy
Paradise?
Origin Strangers of Paradise.
That one.
Chaos Edition.
Chaos.
Yeah, Chaos. There we go.
Chaos Emerald's in there. Oh, the Sonic project.
Sonic,
yeah.
yeah. Sonic
Like,
2022
about
baby.
that. Immediately.
We're gonna be hearing more about that sometime soon. Oh boy.
Oh, dude, I saw something that I forgot to put in the show that Sonic Mania 2 was internally scrapped at Sega.
What?
Breaks my heart.
Why?
Why?
How?
First one was so
Yeah,
successful.
what happened? It was critically
They're like, a
acclaimed
successful
and
Sonic
sold
game?
really
No,
well.
thank you. Not today.
What?
Unbelievable.
Especially
No
when the
idea.
last number of Sonic games really haven't gained any traction whatsoever.
Yep.
Even if like,
Nice pun.
even if they weren't like, even if the critics didn't like it commercially, it didn't seem like they did too well either.
Yeah.
Sega, what are you doing?
Yep.
What are you doing?
So
It is
that's
what it is,
bizarre.
I guess.
I don't know. Maybe they're like, we can't make again, guys. We're done with Green Hill. Yep.
No, they're never done with Green Hill. They'll always keep bringing it back. It never goes away.
Almost and forever.
All right, let's wrap it up here. It's been a long show. Lots of news. Lots of news this week. Didn't have to talk about Scoob to pad that runtime out. But
Nope.
that is going to do it for us on this week's episode of Ode to Games. We're here on Thursdays or Fridays, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other podcast streaming services that you might use. OdeToGames.com also has the audio version of the podcast up every week. Video version is on YouTube, so you can check that out if you want to catch the video version of the podcast, Ode to Games. It comes out about the same time as the audio version. We're on Twitter at Ode to Games. You can send an email to odegamescast@gmail.com. For Logan and Zach, I'm Kevin. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.